Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fragrant Bunker. Today we are in an autumn vibe and mood. Look at this beautiful landscape. We're going to do the top 5 autumn perfumes slash fragrances. And I prompted my AI to generate this misty, kind of hazy entrance into a forest. I was thinking about entering into the woods slowly, but then also we could be in the woods trying to find our way out. Can have kind of a double meaning. Why? Well, because autumn does have a beginning, a center, and an ending, and it ends usually towards winter. I say usually because southern and northern hemispheres, autumn in the northern hemisphere is spring in the southern hemisphere, and vice versa. So there's a little bit of confusion there as to the times. In other words, we are going to lose track of time as we enter the harvest season or the more meditational part of the year, especially for the Northern Hemisphere. So let's get to it. First, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Push the join button next to the subscription button. Become a member today. Gain access to extra perks. You can also join me on Patreon, superdacob, all spelled together there as well for extra perks. This video is being filmed live in front of a live virtual audience. I live stream several times a week on my main Super Dacob channel, so come join me there as well for all the live chats. So let's get to the first one. Now, like I said, this is the vibe I'm feeling this year, and this year being 2024. I film these videos every year as we evolve, as we get older, as we mature. Hopefully, we mature. As we hopefully get a little bit wiser, we also modify slightly our selection, our olfactive selection, our perfume selection. Some of them might be the same ones from year to year, but others might come and go just like the seasons. So the first one is actually, the first one is a new one. It's a great new addition to my collection, even though I added this to my collection end of last year, so end of 2023. But since it was the end of the year, that was winter. So this is the first time that I'm experiencing this fragrance in autumn. And I am in love, really, all over again. I was in love with it when I first discovered it last year, but then man, oh man, it's Shalimar Millésime d'Iris, the Iris Millésime of Shalimar. A little bit of dust on there. There it is. And it does not say Iris on the Millésime sticker because it says Iris or Iris at the bottom. But it is very, 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 very tiny. That little sticker, and these were only available as 50 ml. Unfortunately, also limited edition just to last year. Well, it's right down there, very tiny, 50 ml, right? What's the batch code? 3H01 or O1. Man, oh, the happiness. Oh my gosh, the citrusy opening with the promise of a burnt dark vanilla at the base. Oh my gosh, and that iris in between, what a masterpiece. I mean, seriously, I love my Shalimar and I love all the concentrations of it. Of course, I love the Parfum with its delicate softness. And by the way, I've reviewed the Cologne, the Eau de Parfum, the Parfum of Shalimar, and also Millésime d'Iris. I wonder which Millésime they're going to do this year. The intel is probably already out, but I don't have the intel as of now. I have a little tiny pebble here on the sticker. Okay, it's gone. It got glued right down there, but now it's gone. It was really irritating me. The perfectionist, the sticker perfectionist, if you may, even though, anyway, you can't expect total perfection from these mass-produced fragrances at the end of the day. So last year, when this one came out, I gave it a stellar review. I was in the middle of the woods, snowy woods, lost in the middle of the snowed-in woods, and created like a campfire in the middle of this snow. I watched the aurora borealis in the video. That was the concept around the review of that campfire and those woods burning to keep you warm. Man, I mean, and there's something about this perfume also gives me, I want to say late 2000s vibes, early 2010s. It could have been one of those Olivier Polge for Dior moments, right? Even though obviously it's not, but Dior is LVMH and Guerlain is as well. So kind of they all have similarities in a way, right? But Olivier Polge is now at Chanel. He's not at Dior. It really it brings a smile to my face. It takes me back to a more youthful time as well. So this is a very playful autumn perfume. This fragrance is very energetic. In other words, sometimes autumn fragrances have a tendency of being dormant, somewhat getting ready to, like a bear, to do your winter sleep, to hibernate. You're cozying in other words. Autumn is very often that season when you are harvesting all the hard work you've been doing throughout the summer, spring and summer. Harvest is done, and then you slow down as winter approaches, right? Well, that's not this one. This one is a promise of energy, of life in autumn. Even though the days are getting shorter in the northern hemisphere, still you are not stagnating just because the weather is, and just because it might be a cloudy day or it might get a little bit gloomy, humid. This one still promises energy, promises to go out at night, partying, going out with friends, cozying up, wearing a warm jacket, going out to some fair, autumn fair that's open air. So, you get to drink a little something warm to cozy up, but then you're hearing music, listening to music in the air. Where we come from, there's always music in the air. If you know the reference in the quote, post it down below. And it's just a very, very, very friendly, cozy autumn energy vibe. Like the type of autumn that gives you the strength to go out with friends, right? Not that type of autumn where you call your friends to cancel because you were excited while you were making plans to go out with your friends. You had the energy then, but then like 2 days later, when the day comes, you're like, why did I do that? I don't have energy right now. Let me cancel. No, this is the one that gives you that energy to actually come through all the way from the moment you made plans with your friends to the actual execution of those plans with your friends. It's that good. It's that energetic. It's such a beautiful citrusy opening, but it's gourmand in a way, very warm, very autumn. And then it gets powdery and dry, so it combats the humidity because that iris really dries everything down, and then that burnt vanilla hits you in the end. The best Guerlinade ever. I mean, you guys, this thing really, it's such a pity that they did not put this one in the official roster all year round. I snatched as many bottles as I could, and I only found two, so. But I am still not, sparingly using it. I'm using it whenever I'm in the mood. I don't want to be afraid of using it all up and being like, oh no, it's so. No, this is a fragrance to be enjoyed, loved, use it up. And then when it's gone, whatever. Something else will come. Life is short, people. Enjoy, seriously. Oh man. And it takes me back, even though it's a perfume from 2023, it takes me back to 2010, playful years, more youthful years, a time where everything seemed possible. Oh, that's the power of perfume. It can really take you back. It can really, really take you back and make you feel some type of way. And it brings you a smidge of hope back into your life. And heaven knows we need it. These years, these past few years, even post pandemic, have been just, I can only speak for myself, but they have not been easy. Let's just put it mildly. They have not been easy. So it's very welcome to find something that gives you some hope, even though it's only in memory and scent form. My number two is Also a masterpiece. And we're sticking with LVMH here for now. And it is really matches this mood completely, especially since it changed color from green, it's kind of gray green, to a golden ambery color. They have reformulated it since Francis Kurjan came back since he, for the first time ever, took over as artistic director, Perfumes Dior. And Eau Noire is one of his creations from the early 2000s in Cologne concentration with that poisonous green color. And then when he came back 2 years ago, gosh, has it already been 2 years since the announcement? Yeah. He brought back Eau Noire, but took that green color out. Unfortunately, I loved that green color. Mm. Licorice, immortelle, fennel, lavender. Francis Kurjan is, I want to say, we don't really have to debate on that. I mean, I don't know. Everybody has their own opinion, but he's the master of lavender. I do not believe there's anybody who does lavender like him. Just like nobody does tuberose like Dominique Ropion, you know? Um, so each one of these perfumers has a forte. Francis Kurjan's strength is lavender, and here we got ourselves a masterpiece. Let me, well, let's just layer them. They're so intense. Oh man. Why am I doing this to myself? I'm going to bring myself to tears because, you know, I had Eau Noire, and I still do, in the Cologne concentration from the early 2000s. And man, those were the years. All the way leading up to 2010, 11, like they were still doing the Cologne. You could still buy the Cologne in 2010. They kind of discontinued them 2011 and 2012. They introduced the Eau de Parfums, right, with expanding the range with Demachi. But Eau Noire has still that magic, even in its watered down version. Very interesting when it's layered a little bit with Millésime d'Iris. It has kind of that whoop, a little twist, because this one is green, fougere-ish, a baroque fougere, if you may. And then Shalimar Millésime Iris is more of uh, a baroque vanilla, the smidge of Renaissance in the air. They're so sophisticated and beautiful. So you're going to have licorice in here. You're going to have lavender. You're going to have immortelle. You're going to have your fennel. You're going to have a smidge of vanilla. You're going to have burnt woods. You're going to have leaves, crunchy leaves through this forest. And you see this mist and this haze? We're kind of realizing that actually it's not just the humidity in the air, but quite the opposite. It's not humid in this forest, it's very dry. And what we have here are smokes of incense, myrrh, and it's a forest that is giving us a spiritual experience as we're walking through it. It is allowing us to meditate, to be introspective. And this is what perfumes are at the end of the day. To me, I wear them for myself, not for others. Most of the perfumes I wear throughout the day, because I spend most of my time at home, I wear them at home for myself. And sometimes just a little spritz will do. You don't have to do full on body fragrance and hope that longevity is going to be beast and that projection is going to be beast. Sometimes perfumes don't need to be beastly. Sometimes they're so beautiful when they are just a nuance of a hint that accents a moment in your day. And oh man, that's when they are most beautiful, in my humble opinion, because you need them as accents, as little frameworks to your moods throughout the day. I mean, I think you have to be very lacking in the emotional department if one perfume will do you good the whole day. I mean, you go through so many mood changes, opinions, energy. Sometimes you have more energy, sometimes less energy throughout the day. And there's a perfume for every set, mindset and tone and energy and temperature. So going throughout the day hoping that that one perfume you're wearing is gonna have longevity of 10 hours, it kind of defeats the purpose of wearing perfumes according to your moods, because I prefer to have a perfume last me an hour tops. Sure, it can last a bit longer, but then it's fading out, and then I can spray something else to top it off or in a different part of my body, not necessarily layering it with something else, but then I go through another experience and I elevate the mood, and I understand more, because also at the end of the day, perfumes help you understand yourself more. At least they help me understand myself more. But like I always say, everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, not rooted in truths or facts. Everything's alleged and just my opinion. So, this is, of course, all just my opinion. And perfumes do bring me closer to myself, which is basically what this walk in this forest is. It's kind of, well, maybe a little bit. Also, there's a bit of Proust hiding in there, alla ricerca del tempo perduto, right? Looking for lost time and researching it. That lost time, very fascinating. It's actually, the more you think about the title of that book by Proust, the more you realize it's a paradox, isn't it? The biggest luxury we have is time. Once time is up, it's over. Now, to go on a search or on a quest to find lost time, it's impossible, because the time that has passed is gone, and it's gone forever. This is also why, conceptually speaking, we can emotionally maybe understand the concept of past and future, but physically they don't exist. The past doesn't exist. It's gone. It's past. There's no material substance. It's a time that is gone. The future never happened, because it hasn't happened yet. So it doesn't exist either. There's only the now. And in the now, we try to grasp on to a memory of yesterday. And we can go on the search for this lost time as much as you want through flavors, smells, but it's gone. And there's this bittersweet realization of time being gone. It's so painful, because you've lost it. It's gone forever. And yet there are these beautiful little objects, certain foods, but the taste is completely connected to smell. You cannot really taste something if you don't smell it at the same time. So again, even food tastes good because it smells in a certain way. If it didn't have a smell, it wouldn't taste. So even taste is connected to smell. So perfume is at the origin of this notion of hunting back lost time. And this is why the memory of certain perfumes, or the memories that they trigger, even sometimes memories that you don't really think you've physically lived, but they trigger memories of lost past lives, even sometimes. That's the magic of perfumes. And this is why this kind of walk through this forest is a walk through your own memory. And there's a darkness there. There's menacing aspects to walking down memory lane. But then there's also hope that at the bottom there somewhere there's going to be light and warmth, a warm embrace. Eau Noire is, and boy oh boy, does the iris do it good. The Millésime iris is kind of, oof, man, are they good together? the the Eau Noire is kind of telling you, well, what you will find at the heart of this research that you're doing on yourself and on your own soul search, it's going to be a dilapidated Baroque wooden building, burnt to a crisp. The smell of those burnt woods and resins will evoke a memory of your past, and you will remember vividly images of all of these buildings in your life as if it were physically still there, even though physically in front of you it's burnt down. But the smell of it will be so powerful that you will be transported back to that time when that palace was standing. The power of perfume. And there's no better time than autumn, right around the corner, where October 31st comes around with Halloween, where they say that allegedly the border between the living and the dead is so thin, it's at its thinnest. And that's when, on the night of the 31st of October, the dead can pass over to the realm of the living. And this is why, coincidentally, you dress up for Halloween, for those of you who don't know. Halloween has transformed and mutated a lot throughout the decades, and a lot of people now for Halloween dress up like stars or characters from TV shows, but that's kind of not the purpose of Halloween. But of course, the beauty of Halloween is also that you can interpret it however you wish. But to me, Halloween remains that night where you dress up as a ghoul, as a monster, as a spirit, as a ghost, because you want to camouflage yourself and hide yourself from the real spirits that have, on the night of the 31st, entered into the realm of the living to haunt and taunt the living. If they see you dressed up as a spirit yourself, they might not recognize you as a living human being, so they might just leave you alone and let you be. That's why you dress up for Halloween. You see, there's a very specific folk reason for that. And I love that heritage and that tradition. So this is why I usually, on Halloween night, dress up as a form of a spirit of sorts for that specific reason. But of course, you celebrate Halloween several days, so there are days when you dress up in a funny way, just to kind of for giggles and laughs. That's great as well. But on the night of Halloween, that's the night where we do not joke around. We gotta take it seriously. So there you go. But more on that in my Halloween perfume video, which of course is coming as well. So stay tuned for my top Halloween perfumes this year for 2024. Now, let's go to number 3. Number 3 is that dry. Oh, by the way, quick note also on Eau Noire, there is an incense accord in there, like a frankincense. Very, very, a smidge of incense in the dry down here as well. So bear that in mind. And now we're going to jump into a bombastic overdose of myrrh. So what we have been seeing here, this smokiness that I told you was kind of smoke, humidity, but not humidity. It's actually dryness and smoke. It's the myrrh. And my next one has, what do we have here? Pink pepper, bergamot, myrrh, immortel again, and vanilla, resins, and anise. Anise is like fennel. So there are quite a few nuances, accords in this next perfume that align and match the accords in Eau Noire, except this one is not a Dior, and it is not made by Francis Kurkdjian. A lady formulated this next one, which I also adore, but I wear it very sparingly because this one knocks me out. And that would be vinyl or vinyl. And this is not a painted glass. This is actually, well, up here it's painted, it's faded, but this is the color of the juice. Look at this thing. I mean, you guys, it is this dark and amber. It's sorry for the fingerprints, but man, oh man. Okay. It's unfortunately woo, been discontinued. So it's YSL, Yves Saint Laurent. And man, oh man, let me try to pronounce the lady's name. So Juliette, we can pronounce Juliette, but the surname, Karaguezoglu. Karaguezoglu. So sounds like it could be Greek, but maybe not. Karaguezoglu. Juliette, I'm so sorry if I butchered your surname. I really tried not to. And it's supposed to remind us of the smell of Saint Laurent, Yves Saint Laurent's vinyl, which he was very famous for, amongst other things that Yves was famous for. But vinyl being one of the signature materials utilized for his fashion. And oh, this one is synthetic. It smells of suntan lotion, 80s suntan lotion, 70s suntan lotion, and then that's the synthetic accord that makes it go in the vinyl direction. It almost smells like suntan lotion that has dried up on your blow up toys, floating toys, which are made in vinyl sometimes as well. So there's that smell of it in the sun, but then the vanilla, the resins, the amber, the myrrh, the immortelle start kicking in, and then it goes deep, deeper, deeper, deeper. And then it just kind of becomes all resinous and pulpy, and then it poof, all turns into myrrh, smoke. And it kind of it goes into all of this haze you see here, that is vinyl in this forest, in the forest that I've generated for you guys with my AI today. And it is so autumny because it goes through transformations of that first opening note, which we like I said here, black pepper and bergamot. The bergamot is very faint because all the resins and the ambers, and I mean they're so intense here. And the vanilla, I mean, look at the color. This is like insane. They take over that poor little bergamot that does not stand a chance, really, against all of these heavy hitters. So, but that pepper gives it a bit of zest in the opening, an illusion of freshness, if you may. And then we go deeper and deeper and drier after we've hit the resinous accord. And this one is, it's messy, but in a good way. It's kind of a messy that you have when you are in autumn, and the day might start all gloomy and rainy, and then around about noon the sun comes out and everything starts drying up, but then the clouds hit again around 2 p.m. and it gets all weird again. It's cold but then warm. I mean, this is kind of that type of autumn where middle of autumn, early mid autumn, it's not like late autumn yet. We're not approaching winter just yet. So we still have that weird confusion like, wait, am I going to wear um, something warm today or something cold because I don't want to freeze outside. I don't want to catch a cold. And that's what vinyl is. It keeps you guessing all the time. See that little thing on this thing? It keeps you guessing all the time. It keeps going, bouncing everywhere until ultimately you have arrived safely home and you're dry at home. And that's when the myrrh kicks in and you have almost a meditational moment with yourself where you're just like alone and relaxed at home and you feel safe and you're going to cozy up, get ready to go to bed and sleep. Sleep sweet, sweet dreams, losing yourself in the landscape of dreams in this forest. Man, this is a beauty, but very, very potent. And that's why I dose it very sparingly personally. Some people love the potency of it. I kind of like it a little bit more far away from my nose. So behind the knee is usually where I wear this one, or in the belly area. Not really here in the chest area. Here it emanates way too much for me. That's how strong it is. So spraying it here is also kind of okay, but like in this area, I personally avoid. It's very, very strong. And then the next one is very fascinating because it's very wet. In fact, I also love this one in summer, but then I also love it early autumn and sometimes even late autumn because this one has a power of transforming very, very much. And it goes from one nuance to the next. And as the seasons progress, it really shows different facets of itself. Wonderful perfume. It's another Guerlain, believe it or not. And one of the loves of my life from Guerlain, Thierry Vassar did a great job with this one. Encens Mythique, the mythical incense. And yes, we have more incense in this forest and we have more of this mist spreading out, almost like, a mystical experience of sorts. Now, if you can't hunt down the original first edition, not in this bottle, but in the kind of rectangular one that's many years ago, then hunt down this one. But make sure that you get the formulation that actually on the box states in the ingredients list ambergris. And yes, the bottle that I have very clearly states ambergris on the ingredients list. The batches shortly made after this one do not have ambergris anymore. They have like substitutes, synthetic substitutes to ambergris, but the real ambergris is in this one. And the batch code is 1B01. Just letting you know in case maybe you want to hunt down a batch code earlier than this one, or maybe a smidge later than this one. Might still be with the real ambergris, but make sure that the seller also includes the box if you want to make sure that you get the ambergris. And the ambergris note in here. So we have the Damascus rose, we have dusty, dusty, ancient rose. It's a cold, wet rose. And we have the incenses, the frankincense, the myrrh, and then at a certain point, the ambergris on your body starts forming because the ambergris is in a solid state when we first spray it, right? So, oh my God, could you imagine all the perfumes? Let's do it in this area. Oh man. You know, I do not use this one often just because it is so beautiful that I don't want to spoil it for myself. Because, like, if I were to use it all the time over and over and over again every day, I would miss its magic a little bit. I'm not saying that I would get anosmic to it. This one is quite a strong fragrance, so I'm not thinking that anosmia is a big issue with this one. But if you wear it a lot, you start kind of blending out the little tiny nuances in here. And it takes really a lot of work to get to know this one. Because when you first smell it and you first discover this perfume, it hits you like a beast. And you're like, oh my God, it's actually quite obnoxious. Not the best perfume out there if you think about it. So this is what happens when you first smell it, if you've never smelled it before. That's usually what happens with this one. It smells antique and ancient, really. But then, if you wear it long enough, so here's the trick with this one. You have to really know how often to dose it and how often to use it to reach a level of getting to know this perfume so that it opens up to you in the right way, where you get to appreciate the little facets and nuances of it. Once you've reached that level, where the perfume has opened all of its doors to you, then you got to start being very careful because that's when it gets very addictive and you want to use more and more and more. And the more you use it after that point has been reached, and the more the doors start shutting again and you cannot access any more specific facets of the perfume because you've abused it, you've overused it. So you have to know exactly how to keep being on the edge with this one. This is an edger. You got to know how to edge a perfume. Okay, we'll go. You gotta know how to, you know what I'm saying? This one is not, you do not go all the way with this. You cannot. Just the tip with this one, honey. And you gotta keep your promise because if you go all the way, you're gonna lose the magic. So this one is all in the edging. There you go. And once you've reached, oh my God, it's so dry. It's drying my whole lungs. it reaches a level of like ambergris popping off of your skin in the most animalic way. It's, like I said, we have real ambergris in this one, and it's deep. It's so deep and it takes you so far and it goes places where, I mean, if you don't dose this right, it smells of fecal decay. But if you dose it just right, and just a tiny smidge will do, you will be in heaven and it will smell like, okay, this is what perfumery is meant to be. Like, this is the answer. This is the ultimate answer, like elevation of the soul, of the spirit. It's mind-blowingly beautiful. And it's beautiful also in summer, but in this autumn environment, Encens Mythique gives a very clear and precise feeling of getting lost inside of yourself and enjoying that falling down inside of it, without the fear, without the paranoia of completely losing yourself. No, this one still heralds a beacon of hope and a promise that you will find your way out. We will get there eventually, okay? But the journey of losing yourself inside of yourself is so beautiful, and just let it go. Relax. Enjoy this time, this precious time you're given to find out other aspects of yourself, discover something more about yourself before those doors shut again and you have to kind of put yourself a little bit on the side burner and you got to go on and do other tasks in life because our society is built, alas, the way it is, where many a times human beings are forced to put aside their psychology and just get the job done. And the job is technical, it does not want you to be psychological, and you just gotta go with the flow. So before that time comes again that you gotta go with that flow, use the time that you have for yourself to discover yourself, to get to know yourself better. There's nothing better than getting to know yourself better. That was number 4. Thumb up the video if you're enjoying it, you guys. We're almost at the end of this journey, so subscribe to my channel. Really means the world to me. I'm trying to, get as many subscribers as I can. It's not easy in the landscape of YouTube, but thanks to everybody who has already subscribed. Really means the world to me, and I love seeing all the comments underneath every video because they're so thought through and thought out, and it's just a wonderful conversation to be had with you guys in the comment section, so thank you so much for that. And thumb up the video. What else can I say? If you liked it. Number 5. Well, we're missing a brand that I love very much. So, of course, it had to be included in my autumn perfumes. And I was thinking, boy, there's so many I could choose from because I love all of them, really. I love my Chanel's, but here we go. Maybe this one is a little bit like expected to have been in this list, but it is a classic to me in autumn, especially September, October, more so than November, December, but that kind of late September and all of October is, for me, it's my wet season, rainy season, foresty season, vetiver season with Sycomore by Chanel. I do like the current version of the EDP. I do prefer the EDT, the Eau de Toilette, if you can get one. They've discontinued those in 2016. And then the first EDP in 2016 was terrible in my opinion, but then Olivier Polge kind of reined it back in, and then the 7901 batch is much better. It's kind of going back towards the Eau de Toilettes. It's light though. There was a time back in 2008, 2009, and I do have a really old bottle of the EDT of Sycomore where, I mean, the juice has turned brown almost, right? There is a time when they used a ton of essential oils in here. Like that old batch of Sycomore, man, it's a mystical experience to smell because it's just so rich and intense and deep. I mean, it goes light years beyond the current extrait version of Sycomore, just saying. So while we sprayed on all of them, so might as well also add Sycomore on top. What a beauty. So we have that tobacco vetiver vibe, and the vetiver is wet. It is like you pulled it out of the ground and the roots are still attached to the soil and the soil is earthy and it smells earthy. And then you have the Chanel aldehydes, which dry everything up. There's violet in here. I think this is what Olivier Polge added to the game with Sycomore as opposed to his dad, Jacques, who created Sycomore not on his own. Christopher Sheldrake had his paws in the creation of Sycomore EDT as well. But the floral aspect of Sycomore is what I believe Olivier contributed when he updated the perfume to an eau de parfum concentration. He rounded it off, Sheldrake was edgier. Sheldrake created these eau de toilettes with Jacques, les exclusives eau de toilettes, in a very sober, technical, rational way. Very much each one of the les exclusives in eau de toilette concentration, the first years, were very much cut razor sharp like diamonds. And you could smell that edge. You could smell that sharpness. Olivier is not about that. Olivier is kind of famous for his iris. He's famous for his, we all know Dior Homme or Pure Poison, his collaboration with Dominique Ropion for Dior's Pure Poison from the early 2000s, just like Dior Homme is from the early 2000s. That is Olivier Polge's time. That was his prime, his youth, kind of. His perfume youth, his perfumer youth was spent in the early 2000s with these two highlights, in my opinion, at least two highlights of his career being Dior Homme, the original Dior Homme, and then with a lot of iris, and then the white floral being pure poison. Olivier loves his white florals. In fact, his first main release for Chanel, that's not a Les Exclusives, was Gabrielle, and Gabrielle is a white floral. A par excellence, actually, within the Chanel genre, because of the tuberose, because of the jasmine, because of the ylang ylang, because of the jasmine, and, well, mostly the Jasminum grandiflorum and the tuberose. It delivers a roundness to it. Okay, Olivier Polge is not about edgy. And this is why when he took over Chanel and reformulated all the EDT Les Exclusives to EDPs and the EDTs were discontinued, what we were given in 2016 for the Les Exclusives Autumn Perfumes were very rounded, soft, musky concoctions that did not really work very well with all of the perfumes, especially with Sycomore, which used to be this sharp like a knife dagger drenched in wet soil. Oh man, like a patchouli-esque vetiver. I mean, insane, okay? We're talking on another level of insanity. Sharp as a knife. Michael Myers knife, we're talking here. And then Olivier comes along and turns that sharp knife into a cocoony violet musk. Okay, did not work for me at all. But then later on in the game, around about 2022, 2023 is when this reformulation, to my nose at least, happened. And it kind of started going back to an edgier direction, although this is still light years. You see, I have to respray it because it's so delicate. This is light years away from what Sycomore used to be, unfortunately. It's so watered down. I still love it to bits, you guys. I will still keep buying it and especially enjoying it and using it in the autumn months a ton. Also, round about the period of Halloween, Sycomore definitely gives me a certain type of vibe. Also, Twin Peaks underneath the sycamore trees. You know, I rewatch Twin Peaks, the first seasons, all three seasons really at this point, but especially the first two seasons. I rewatch them in autumn, September, October. That's the time when I rewatch Twin Peaks. It's like a tradition, okay, in my household. And of course, Twin Peaks is all about the Black Lodge, and then later on we found out about the White Lodge. But in the 90s, it was all about the Black Lodge and the Red Room, and the access to the Black Lodge was surrounded by sycamore trees and that gasoline smell that goes with it. So that entire association is connected to Sycomore here, and the fact that, you know, the name is connected to Twin Peaks indirectly, but in my mind, it's completely directed because everything is holistic, in my opinion, just makes this perfume so perfect for autumn. Plus that wetness, that soiliness of the vetiver makes it very damp and very foresty. It almost feels like we can go into these niches here, crooks and crannies, and trying to find the soil and pull out the vetiver. And you know, you do not find sycamore in the air. You find it in the dirt. You have to go off this little path. You got to go off the path and into these dark woods, and you got to start getting dirty, your hands dirty, your fingernails dirty, and you have to pull the sycamore out of the dirt. And as dirty as you get, drenched in that soil, then you step back up out on the path and you keep walking until you reach redemption, baby. Until you reach yourself, your true essence. That's what autumn is all about in my book. It's all about self-discovery, getting to know yourself better, embracing yourself, loving yourself, learning to love yourself. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this autumnal fall excursion into the wonderful magical realm of perfumes and fragrances and scents together with me. If you did enjoy this video, it would really mean a lot to me if you thumbed it up and comment down below and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, never forget to never give up on fragrant love. Let me know your favorites for autumn. Bye.